Ms. Houchens, are you from Charlottesville?
I'm not from Charlottesville.
Where are you from
I'm
originally?
from Louisa County.
Where
Yeah.
in Louisa?
Bumpus.
Tell me about
Bumpus is a very rural area outside of Richmond, but very community oriented, very close knit.
And when you left Louisa to come to Charlottesville, how old were you?
Ah, 18. I got connected through the Trinity Church on Preston Avenue to housing, and then that was when I moved into to 6th Street and was there for about 6 years and then moved into Garrett Square.
Okay.
There was a family that lived to the right side of me and I lived on the left, and they were the Dooms. And the Dooms owned their own cleaning business, but the girls, we became friends simply because I moved into their neighborhood. So they befriended me. And then, to be honest, it was the elderly in the neighborhood that really became really close, like family and friends to me. Because everybody on the street knew everybody. Everybody looked out for everybody. Yeah. So those really were my friends. Yeah. And it was interesting. I remember my son working in the neighborhood because the Bells, J.F. Bells, had a little store on the next street over, and they would offer the neighborhood children a job. So after school, he would go there to work. So that neighborhood kind of provided so much for our everyday lives. Grocery store, everything was right there. Yeah.
Were there a lot of children in the neighborhood with you?
There was a lot of children in the neighborhood. My kids could play with those kids. When I took my kids to the park, it was the neighborhood children that went to the park with us. They would play in the streets, but and that was common back in the days that kids played in the street. But the cars and everyone looked out for the kids because they knew kids was in the neighborhood. I would say it was that uncommon for 25 or 30 kids to be right on that street playing among themselves. That's my connection there with parks because I lived up to here from Tosselor Park.
Okay.
And so I raised my children in Tosselor Park. That was an everyday adventure there for us to walk to the park. Yeah.
Describe that walk for me. What were you walking past? What were you seeing as you went there?
Lovely black homes because it was a African American neighborhood. And then you got to the bottom of the hill and it was Esther's Supermarket. So the neighborhood kind of had everything you needed right there because of the laundromat on the other side and Esther's Supermarket on the other side. So then you walked over into the park. Because it was in the neighborhood, you could smell all of these aromas of food from people's homes. And people would bring food into the park for any and everyone to eat. Everybody knew everybody. Or if you didn't know each other, it was still okay. They looked out for one another. Yeah. Yeah. Because of where it was located at, you came in contact with so many different people because behind the park was the prospect individuals that came through the woods, but then you had those that came off of Cherry Avenue. They would come into the park and Ridge Street. So it was almost like bringing your kids and exposing them to other neighborhood children, because that's where those kids would come from. Yeah. It was a part of us as a family. Not only was it for my children, but that was how I met other individuals in the city, because I wasn't from the city. And so I got connected with other individuals just by going to the park. They didn't know me, I didn't know them, but we became to know each other through going to the park. Yeah. And so when I think about that, Tosler and the naming of Tosler and how that came, all of that, I guess that's why it brings me to this moment here in Garrett Square, Friendship Court, now Kindlewood. Because names and all of that is very meaningful. That alone holds history.